Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Informal terms for personal possessions. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. She stuffed herself at the dinner. Fill with a stuffing while cooking. Have you stuffed the turkey yet? Senseless talk. Don't give me that stuff. Obstruct. My nose is all stuffed. The tangible substance that goes into the makeup of a physical object. Wheat is the stuff they use to make bread. Press or force. A critically important or characteristic component. Suspense is the very stuff of narrative. Cram into a cavity. The child stuffed candy into his pockets. Fill tightly with a material. Stuff a pillow with feathers. Information in some unspecified form. It was stuff I had heard before. Miscellaneous unspecified objects. The trunk was full of stuff. Treat with grease, fill, and prepare for mounting. Stuff a bearskin. Unspecified qualities required to do or be something. The stuff of heroes. Informal terms for personal possessions. Did you take all your clobber? Strike violently and repeatedly. She clobbered the man who tried to attack her. Beat thoroughly and conclusively in a competition or fight. Any act of immoderate indulgence. An emotional binge. An occasion for excessive eating or drinking. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. The kids binged on ice cream. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Supply with an excess of. The quality of being so overabundant that prices fall. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. A narrow pass, especially one between mountains. The passage between the pharynx and the stomach. A deep ravine, usually with a river running through it. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Supplied, especially fed, to satisfaction. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. Fill to satisfaction. Overeat or eat immodestly, make a pig of oneself. A comedy characterized by broad satire and improbable situations. Fill with a stuffing while cooking. Mixture of ground raw chicken and mushrooms with pistachios and truffles and onions and parsley and lots of butter and bound with eggs. Senseless talk. Senseless talk. Senseless talk. An obstruction in a pipe or tube. We had to call a plumber to clear out the blockage in the drainpipe. The act of obstructing or deflecting someone's movements. A platform from which an auctioneer sells. They put their paintings on the block. A three-dimensional shape with 6 square or rectangular sides. Prohibit the conversion or use of assets. An inability to remember or think of something you normally can do, often caused by emotional tension. I knew his name perfectly well, but I had a temporary block. Stop from happening or developing. Be unable to remember. You are blocking the name of your first wife. Block passage through. A simple machine consisting of a wheel with a groove in which a rope can run to change the direction or point of application of a force applied to the rope. Render unsuitable for passage. Block the way. Shut out from view or get in the way so as to hide from sight. The thick curtain blocked the action on the stage. Interfere with or prevent the reception of signals. Block the signals emitted by this station. Obstruct. Her arteries are blocked. A metal casting containing the cylinders and cooling ducts of an engine. The engine had to be replaced because the block was cracked. A rectangular area in a city surrounded by streets and usually containing several buildings. He lives in the next block. Impede the movement of an opponent or a ball. Block an attack. Hinder or prevent the progress or accomplishment of. His brother blocked him at every turn. A number or quantity of related things dealt with as a unit. He reserved a large block of seats. A solid piece of something, usually having flat rectangular sides. The pyramids were built with large stone blocks. Computer science, a sector or group of sectors that function as the smallest data unit permitted. Since blocks are often defined as a single sector, the terms block and sector are sometimes used interchangeably. Housing in a large building that is divided into separate units. There is a block of classrooms in the West Wing. Interrupt the normal function of by means of anesthesia. Block a nerve. Run on a block system. Block trains. Shape by using a block. Block a garment. Shape into a block or blocks. Block the graphs so one can see the results clearly. Stamp or emboss a title or design on a book with a block. Block the book cover. Support, secure, or raise with a block. Block a plate for printing. Obstruct. Ancient Celtic god. Carry with difficulty. You'll have to lug this suitcase. Obstruct. Marine worms having a row of tufted gills along each side of the back, often used for fishing bait. A sail with 4 corners that is hoisted from a yard that is oblique to the mast. A projecting piece that is used to lift or support or turn something. Artifact made by weaving or felting or knitting or crocheting natural or synthetic fibers. She measured off enough material for a dress. Having substance or capable of being treated as fact, not imaginary. Having material or physical form or substance. The tangible substance that goes into the makeup of a physical object. Coal is a hard black material. A person judged suitable for admission or employment. He was university material. Concerned with or affecting physical as distinct from intellectual or psychological well-being. Material needs. Concerned with worldly rather than spiritual interests. Material possessions. Derived from or composed of matter. The material universe. Directly relevant to a matter, especially a law case. His support made a material difference. Information, data or ideas or observations, that can be used or reworked into a finished form. The archives provided rich material for a definitive biography. Things needed for doing or making something. Writing materials. Come into rough contact with while moving. Press or force. Push roughly. The people pushed and shoved to get in line. The act of shoving, giving a push to someone or something. He gave the door a shove. To compress with violence, out of natural shape or condition. Squeeze a lemon. An aggressive attempt to compel acquiescence by the concentration or manipulation of power. To cause to do through pressure or necessity, by physical, moral or intellectual means. He squeezed her for information. A twisting squeeze. A state in which there is a short supply of cash to lend to businesses and consumers and interest rates are high. A tight or amorous embrace. Squeeze like a wedge into a tight space. I squeezed myself into the corner. Squeeze or press together. The act of gripping and pressing firmly. He gave her cheek a playful squeeze. Hold someone tightly in your arms, usually with fondness. Obtain by coercion or intimidation. They squeezed money from the owner of the business by threatening him. Press or force. Squeeze tightly between the fingers. She squeezed the bottle. A situation in which increased costs cannot be passed on to the customer. Increased expenses put a squeeze on profits. Press firmly. He squeezed my hand. Slang. A person's girlfriend or boyfriend. She was his main squeeze. The act of forcing yourself, or being forced, into or through a restricted space. Getting through that small opening was a tight squeeze. The act of applying force to propel something. Push upward. The front of the trains that had collided head-on thrust up into the air. Penetrate or cut through with a sharp instrument. Make a thrusting forward movement. Impose urgently, importunately, or inexorably. A strong blow with a knife or other sharp-pointed instrument. Place or put with great energy. Thrust the money in the hands of the beggar. The force used in pushing. The thrust of the jet engines. Press or force. She thrust the letter into his hand. A sharp hand gesture, resembling a blow. He made a thrusting motion with his fist. Force, molten rock, into pre-existing rock. Push forcefully. He thrust his chin forward. Verbal criticism. He enlivened his editorials with barbed thrusts at politicians. Movable property, as distinguished from real estate. Movable property, as distinguished from real estate. Movable property, as distinguished from real estate.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.